and to watch whatever you weren't able to see. So if you can come at 2 o'clock, you missed an hour, you'll be able to go back into Blackboard within 24 hours and watch any of the parts that you missed. Are there any questions about that? So pass it on if you have friends who couldn't make it for this first time or didn't get the syllabus in time, because there were issues with Blackboard that pulled the class down. So you had it and then it went away. So if you know somebody that wasn't able to attend or somebody that's in your group, which I will explain in a minute, if you know somebody that's in your group that's not here, then you can contact them and say, hey, Dr. Wilson is having class on Mondays from 1 to 3, and you can log on. But if you can't log on in real time, you can always go back and watch the video, especially if you get confused on one of the assignments. Because this is an online class, and because the total number of hours in this class must be equivalent to what you would take face-to-face, just know that every week you're going to have approximately 13 or so hours of work. That makes 135 hours total. Some weeks are a little heavier and some weeks are a little lighter, depending on what you have to do. So for example, there are 3 tests or exams in this class. Those tests and exams require some studying on your own. As such, you'll be given time to do that, right? I've also included on the syllabus, which we're going to look at in just a minute, but the whole class is not going to be about the syllabus or about Blackboard. You need some time to dig into Blackboard and sort of figure it out. Once you've figured out how the layout is, that layout stays the same every single week. So once you've figured out, okay, in week 1, this is what I'm doing, module 1 equals week 1. This is what I have to do. When you go to module 2, the same format will be there. Here's the homework, here's the reading, here's the, right? It'll say required next to it as well, if you have to do it. Okay, so what I thought I'd start first, perhaps, is telling you a little bit about me. Not much, just a little. So first of all, I've been at A&M, one of the old timers, I guess. I've been at A&M for going on 14 years now. So, and I've taught this course for probably 10 of those 14 years, either at the graduate level or at the undergraduate level. I come from UT Austin. Hello. I come from UT Austin. I studied literacy and culture there.
Laura Longoria.
Hello.
Has joined the meeting.
And my study, what I actually work on in my research, is twofold. The first thing is that I study
a participant has joined the meeting.
Language and discourse in Western Africa. So I help to build schools and libraries there, and I train teachers on how to use those schools and libraries, both in terms of ways of teaching, but also learning ways of culture and storytelling. I've been doing that for now 10 years. So hopefully when we get into culture, I'll be able to show you a little bit about when I'm over there. I am a long-term person. I'm not somebody who drops in and then creates. I work with the communities there for them to help others understand why literacy is important. And for some schools, that's in order to read the Bible. For other schools, that's in order to go to markets and be able to sell. And so that's my interest, is in how culture and storytelling impacts the way people live in the world. The second thing that I research concerns social spaces. So you've probably had early literacy classes with Teresa Mata and some of those where you're really working on phonics and 6-syllable types and graphemes and phonemes and morphemes. And while we are going to do some reminder of those things, this class is really about assessing and then coming up with interventions. How do you help them? What do you do when you have a kid who's struggling or you have a school that's struggling? How do you gather that leadership that's going to be needed in your classroom and with other teachers? So my secondary interest is in exactly that, how to create social spaces, so the environment, in ways that promote literacy. So I look at not just the knowledge that you guys have, so what do you know, but also how do you share that and who you are in a classroom. And I'll share a little bit more about that because, with COVID and Corona, and before that, so Ebola started over in Western Africa as well. And then as that started happening, I came home. I'd been there a year, came home. Now I've sort of been home. So everything is electronic with them as well. And if you think it's hard for you guys, imagine over there. It's very difficult. Okay. What else? I have 2 dogs. I have a puppy named Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Call her Ruthie. And she's awful. And then I have an older Schnauzer mixie thing that is 13. And they're some of the loves of my life. I am a traveler, obviously. I travel all the time, and I have a little camper right now. So as we go through the semester, the summer session, which is 10 weeks, 10 weeks, you just need to know that sometimes you're going to see me and I'm out in the middle of a forest because I do a lot of hiking and camping, and with the virus right now, it's a really nice time to be outside. Otherwise, you guys, I know a lot of you are going through so much overwhelm and anxiety, and I'm very aware that you're sort of in the midst of, I call it like emotional anxiety, because we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And some of you have the kids at home and the significant other at home, and we are sort of in makeshift office spaces even here. I have a 2-bedroom place, and so sort of makeshift desk and spaces. So please reach out if you need extra time or something's just not going right for you in the regular world, not just the school world, because the school world is about to become sort of a piece that sits on your shoulder. Do you know what I mean? Like it sits there and then you're like, I need to do schoolwork, but I want to eat banana cream pie, but I need to do schoolwork. And if you continue to hear, I need to hear schoolwork, and it starts just like piling on your back with everything you're missing, it can become really overwhelming really fast. And sometimes you just need an ally. And I hope I'm that person, and that your group is that as well. Anybody have any questions for me? We got quite a few of you guys in here. I'm so excited that you were able to show up. I know that there will be times that you're not, but I get all excited when I get to see people. It's like a birthday party or something. Anybody have any questions for me before I start talking a little bit about how to read Blackboard and then the syllabus? Nobody? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can go into Blackboard. So if you want to log into your Blackboard, it is going to look a little bit different than my Blackboard, because my Blackboard, of course, is an instructor Blackboard, but the main pages will, of course, be the same. And I'm just going to walk you through how to go about the class, giving you some dates, but also specifically just showing you how to read it, because it can look like there's a whole lot of stuff, and there is a lot of stuff, but all of it doesn't have to be done all at one time. So your goal is that you're working and recognizing that this class is going to act on your shoulders like a part-time job, because it's looking at 13 hours. And me, as somebody who I've worked lots of different places and lots of different jobs, when you're working part-time, that's about a 20-hour job. This is just a little bit less than that. So for some of you, and you know if it's you, that takes longer to read or is very diligent when you read, we call them diligent readers and writers, where you read every letter and you read every piece and you highlight, and you have your little cup of pens, and you have your little tabs and stuff. You can tell what kind of reader I am. And if you're that kind of reader, it might take you a little bit longer. Now, I will tell you, in calculating, and in a second I'll show you where the calculations come from. I'm not calculating them. An external entity calculates my hours. Those hours, I can choose somebody who's very slow, somebody who's very medium, a medium reader and a medium worker, and very high. They do it very fast. All right. So you read really fast, you do everything really fast, and you comprehend really high level. The book that you're reading is written for a reading scientist. When you finish this class, you are not just a teacher. You're a reading scientist, meaning that when you take that science of teaching reading, you will be able to do it because you've become a scientist. You are getting a BS. That's a Bachelor of Science. If you were at UTSA, if you were at Trinity, you would be getting a BA. A BA is a Bachelor's of Arts. This is not an arts program. This is a science program, which falls right in alignment with what TEA wants and with jobs right now. So when you leave this class, one of my major goals for you, it's not to pass a test, although that's a goal. My goal for you is that when you go into the schools, and first of all, you get hired. I teach this class as if you are my colleagues. I teach this class that way because you almost are. You're going to leave and you're going to be out in schools. And while I've been at this university for 14 years, I'm not staying.
A participant has joined the meeting.
Meaning that I will be someone who you will find or see later on being a teacher, because that's my joy. I'm here and I love you guys, but kids are better. Kids are awesome. And so I want you to get a job and I want you to work alongside of me to make a better place. Not to be afraid to push the ideas that you're learning here, because what is true is that there's often a big gap between what's happening at the university and what's happening out in schools. And those of you that have been doing field-based before all of this, you saw it probably pretty big. Like what you're learning in school, you're not seeing out in the schools. Should you be? Yes. It is not that the university is teaching you things that are not valuable. The university is teaching you what is founded on research, what we know to be true. So now the question becomes, why are students often not doing it when they transfer to be colleagues? And I would say the reason sometimes you guys aren't doing it is because the school environment sucks you in and you start feeling like, well, nobody else is doing it, so should I do it? And the answer is yes. I want to help give you the words to get a job, but also I want to give you the words to run your classroom in ways that give you joy. Because if you don't, you're not going to stay in the profession and all of this work will be for nothing. Only 1 in every 5 teachers lasts 5 years. 1, which means they go to other jobs. And what we want to know is that once you've been trained, that you're finding joy and not just all the heartache and pain and worry and testing can give you. Today, we're actually going to start the second half of the lesson. The second half of our time is on high stakes testing and why it's a struggle, giving you some words to talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now with you guys to get you first into Blackboard. So what you're seeing now is my Blackboard. Yours is going to look a little bit different, but once you've logged in, and feel free to do that if you want to. If you can open another page, you can stay here on this call and then go in, or you can just watch with me as I go through some of it. Over here on the left-hand side, this probably looks a little different than some of the other courses that you might have had up to now. Now, because the university is having to move to online and truly hybrid, you're going to see it change a little bit. But with that, all of your courses are going to be structured the same way as this one. So this one, all the stuff, of course, is still on your left. But down here, where course content was, most of you, if you took an online course before, used course content for everything. Everything was inside of course content. Now, it's all set up with modules. Each module corresponds with each week. Part of the requirements for ourselves as professors that we signed up to do concerns an entity called Quality Matters, trying to make sure that our online courses are deep and complex, and for me, they enable you to go out into the world effectively, right? Whatever you do. So each module here, it corresponds to a week, but we can't change the name to call it week 1 because evidently that's
a participant has left the meeting.
So module 1 is week 1, module 2 is week 2, all the way down to week 10. We end at the middle of August, just so you know. We will be taking your final test during that final week, and there won't be a final exam per se. So you'll have 3 tests that add up together to then sort of create a cumulative test 3. So you will take test 1, test 2, test 3 will be cumulative, meaning it'll contain questions from test 1 and test 2. That's kind of like your final exam. So we'll end it that second week or so of August. Give you a couple weeks before you come back to see us again in the fall. Okay, so when you get in here, I encourage all of you to spend, I would say, a good 20 minutes just looking through everything that's up right now. Okay, I'm going to show you that here you can see module 1 in yours. You can't see all of these other modules down here, but they are made. So I'm going to open one in just a minute to show you what they're going to look like as they open to you. Each module will open to you on Wednesdays, and then you'll have about a week and a half to finish that module. So everything is due in the modules Sundays at 11:59. So at the end of Sunday time. But they'll open on Wednesdays. Okay, so here I'm just kind of telling you a little bit about the class, course description, and letting you know this is actually a really important note. I do not teach this class like somebody who reads the book and then does a PowerPoint over the book. You will never see that. This class is run like a professional development, as if you went to the Region 20 Service Center, meaning that I expect you to read the book and I have activities for you to do as you read the book to help you gain more knowledge, or to take knowledge that you have a surface level knowledge about, like phonics, and dig a little bit deeper into it. But those are things that I expect you to do outside. Inside of class, I'm going to be teaching you as if you're a colleague of mine and I'm teaching a professional development to you. So what you're getting in class is going to be different than what you're reading in the book. So for example, chapter 1 is sort of an overview of the book. Today in class, we're going to talk about one part of that, which is high stakes testing. But I won't be using Pearson's PowerPoints to come with it. Okay. Sometimes the PowerPoint will already be up for you. You can pull up the PowerPoint at any time, as we're about to open it in just a minute. Everything for that week is included inside. But I am a teacher with you at the moment I'm sitting here. I want to know questions that you have about what you see in the classroom, what you're worried about with what I talk about to you. That way we can sort of combat some of the talk that's in your head about schools that can be somewhat negative, and turn that into ways that we adjust ourselves to participate in ways that are positive for not just kids, but for ourselves. Because if you're not mentally healthy, guess what? Your classrooms probably aren't either. When you're overwhelmed, the kids feel it. Those of you that have kids and babies at home, you probably know that. Even my dogs, they know that. Okay, so when you miss class, this video will be available to you within 24 hours. Okay? All right, so let's get in. So I'm clicking here in Module 1. All right, that's the first thing we're going to kind of look at. All of the modules 1 through 10 will look exactly the same. You will always have the standards. These are the new reading science standards that those of you who will be graduating in 2021 will be responsible for, because of course TEA has a new test that you guys get to take called the Science of Teaching Reading. Every student now will take this regardless of what program they're in, even if they're getting a high school teaching certificate. So if you're someone who is adding certification so that you can teach high school, but your degree is in biology, you'll also have to take the Science of Teaching Reading. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to help you to make sure that you're ready for that. So these standards, that's where these come from. All these folders, this is where you're going to spend most of your time. Inside of each of these folders, you're going to see weekly readings. Sometimes these have videos. And if you're in need of transcription or interpretation, just know that they've already been sent to who's going to help with that. So those will be available to you soon. The goal is that they are available to you the Wednesday that they open, but I'm not quite sure how long those will take. Okay, so if that's you, don't worry, we're working on it. So you'll have weekly readings, you'll have the book, and then some other supplementary things. I'm going to go into that folder in just a minute. You're always going to have weekly videos and the PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint I'm about to open is inside of here. You're going to have weekly homework, things that you're going to turn in. Sometimes these things require a lot of time. Sometimes these things are really, really quick. And then lastly, there's always going to be an extension. Inside of the extension, which I'm going to open, there are always mostly two things for you to do. Okay? One of them is going to be digging deeper into a topic, like here, phonemic awareness. So if you're not sure what phonemic awareness is, or you want some extra reminders about it, this is where you would click. So you'd go inside and say, what does she have for phonemic awareness? I've got something that takes you to the web. It's going to show you a small video, or PowerPoint about it. Down here, there's a sentence, what do we call it? A close paragraph, basically. Fill in the blank, CLOZE, close, strategy, and basically saying, if you can answer this, then you don't need to probably be in this folder. So after I've taken a look at phonemic awareness and said, I really get it. I'm good. I've looked at what Wilson has. I'm feeling okay with it. I might want to go in here and take a look at extending my learning on affect. So there's going to be some additional things in here for you to take a look at. Some of them real short, just looking at what it is. And saying, hey, I get it. I'm good. Inside of the extension or intervention, there's never homework. It's something that you're deciding to do. If you feel like you need more knowledge or you're confused, then you can go in and read a little bit more. Every chapter inside will also have these Cornell notes. If you've never done Cornell notes, they basically set up a framework for how you go about reading the textbook. I think I'm on module 6 with these. Now, this is not something you have to turn in unless I say turn this in which case it will be in your homework folder. This is something for you to know that when you're reading the book, you're getting from the book what you need. So, do you have to do these? No. Should you do them? Probably. Okay? So, if you're wanting to look at where the questions are going to come from for your exam, guess what? They're going to come from places like this. Now, these questions might be on your exam, but they're just a way for you to read the book. So remember, the answers to these questions are in the book. So I can ask questions that are like these for the test. Because if you read your book, you can do the test. If you've watched the videos, you can do the test. If you've done the Cornell notes, it's going to help you on the test. But they're not something you have to turn in to me. Okay? They're just helpful for you. And they are me writing them, just so you know. So if you find errors in them or you can't find an answer, it's not clear, send me an email so I know, because sometimes, I am an expert reader reading. And so you guys might not see it, and I need to make sure it's more clear. That would be helpful to me as a teacher. So let me know if you see something that is spelled wrong or you can't find it or anything like that. This is the first time I'm using them with you guys. Okay, so we've been inside of the extension. Okay, we're back to the same structure. So remember, these are the standards. Then you've got your weekly readings required, and you're going to try to read them before class, meaning that these are ones that you would be reading for the class today, but we're also going to be using it for the class next week. So it's okay. You're going to start here. So you're going to have a list of the homework. So here's your reading of chapter 1. Look at the syllabus. The second book is the Writer's Workshop book. Looks like this. Okay, it looks like this. It is free as an ebook through the library. The library bought the ebooks for everyone. All you have to do is log in, and you should be able to download it for this semester. If not, you can contact Kim Grotwald or me, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of it. If you're someone who needs a hard copy, she's also somebody that you should contact and say, is there any way for me to get a hard copy? There are a few on loan where you can pick it up outside of the library and have an actual book. But let me know, because I might be able to help you with that too. All right? Okay, so you've got your book, your Reading Scientist book called Reading Assessment, and it looks like this, although yours is coming to you in paper form, I think. You should be getting something that looks like this. And you'll notice it's big. Okay, start now. Carry your Kindle around with you. Okay, or your, however they gave it to you. Did they give it to you as a hardback or a hard copy?
We got it in ebook, but it didn't look like the one you just showed us. It has a woman and a child on it.
Yeah, you have the newer version. I'm sorry. This is an older version because I pulled out the actual book, and I didn't order this one. This is the one. They always change the person on front. just so you know, like I said, I've been using this book a really long time. And it's so funny because I call Pearson the devil. They make a lot of money. We're about to look at this literally today. They make a lot of money, and the book is the same, but they changed the cover. So at one point it was a little Asian kiddo. One point it was a white kiddo with a teacher with disabilities. Next time, now we've got a kiddo who's black. And now it's a woman. They try to change it so that you have to buy it, but really the inside's about the same, just so you know. They're trying to hit all of the subgroups, and I think it's such an inappropriate way to do it. But all right, they don't ask me all these questions. They don't pay me for my input, but that's the thing. Okay, yeah.
Professor Wilton. Hi.
Hi.
I have a question on the ebook. I'm a little confused. I bought the Writer's Workshop book on Amazon.
Great.
But you just mentioned that we should be getting it for free through the school.
Yes. So if you want to send it back, you can. And all you need to do is log in to the library, and then you should be able to get it. We have an unlimited license for it, so you should be able to get it free. But
Okay.
I will say, and I'll tell you this, and this is not like about me because I think I make 3 cents or something on each book. It's not that. Students who were in the class last semester in the fall or spring are getting jobs, right, for the fall. And I literally, this book was written with so many of my students at the graduate and undergraduate level over the course of about 10 years. And what I'll tell you is that I've had 4 students, which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually is. I've had 4 students contact me about helping them set up writing in their own classroom so that it's fun and that it's engaging instead of having kids that hate it. They don't want to write. And they ask questions like, how long does it have to be, miss? And you say things like 1 page or to the first hole in the notebook paper. This book walks you through how to set it up. And it's written for teachers, like literally for a teacher to do, not high level or not a text that requires hard comprehension. Instead, this is written for us. I wrote it so that I would be able to do this in my classroom again, that this is what worked. So it's myself and a colleague of mine who was a teacher for 35 years. So I went into her classroom, we looked at what she was doing, what I used to do, and that's how this came about. So this is about 45 years of knowledge in here, 4 teachers. And look, nice and little, 4 teachers. So I love that you would have the book so you can write in it, but you don't have to. And if you don't have the money right now, which a lot of people don't, we don't, we're working summers in order to make our household go. You can definitely get it free. Thanks for asking, Casey.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
On the other book the one with the new cover, how do I get access into the ebook for that one? Because you don't have the ebook tab.
No, it doesn't. It's not through me anymore. So you should have been blasted with a bunch of emails about Red Shelf or Red Line Shelf or something like that from Ursula Vaughn is her name. You should have gotten a link to it.
I'm sure I did. I'll look for it later on after this class is over.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So that's where you're going to find the this chapter 1 and all the other stuff. And that book, let me tell you, is going to take you a little longer to read, all of you guys. And when you hit chapter 10, don't be mad. Chapter 10 is long. So be a strategic reader. Decide which parts you want to read deeply. Take time, highlight really deeply. If you see a heading that you kind of already know, or you feel like, skip it and move forward, okay? Just make sure you're clear about what's in the chapter so that you can, if you need extension, come back into the PowerPoints and stuff to help you. Just know that I understand there's a chapter in there, and I'm telling you, it's 60 pages long. That's a very long chapter. I am aware of it, and I still think it's important. And so we're going to go ahead and do our best to do everything that's on here. And when we start the semester, we're always all about let's do the best. So we're going to go.
Michelle Lopez has joined the meeting.
So inside of here, you're going to see what the homework is. So we did the Writer's Workshop book, read any additional articles or websites found in this folder. So you're like, oh, look, these are all websites when they have the little world. It means it's going to take you to a website and you're just going to look through it. If you want to watch something on it or read something additional, great. It's just about you kind of mining through it, like a miner would mine for diamonds, okay? Each time. So here's another one. This is going to give you an example of interventions for motivation and affect. You're going to see a lot of these interventions because one of the major assignments, or the major assignment, is to look at data from a kid and be able to decide what areas they need work in. So to actually intervene, what do we need to do? And in order to do that, you need to be able to see, could motivation be an issue for kids? So you've learned the 5 pillars of reading instruction, probably in all your classes. I hope that it is like sunk in, you've got it tattooed on your back, so that it says that the 5 pillars are phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency, okay? In this class and in my teaching and in my area of expertise, which is assessment, and what I know to be true is that we have 2 other areas that highly affect reading. Those are writing, that you learn to write and read recursively at the same time, okay? The second one is motivation, that if kids don't have motivation, you're screwed. All the other ones are a problem because they don't want to do it. So in order to get better at reading, you have to actually read. And if they can't read or they don't want to read, then we have the first problem. So you got your 5 pillars plus 2, writing and motivation, okay? If you're writing notes, those are 2 things that you write that down. All right, so you can come in here and look at some interventions for if you had a kid who's struggling to be motivated. Then I also want you to take a look at the rubrics
Michelle Lopez
for the
has left the meeting.
For the syllabus. So every single project that you have has a rubric. They're all involved in here, or they're all inside of your syllabus. And the first one that you're going to be looking at is your case study report. This is the major project in the class. This is where your attention needs to always go to. What's for the case study? What can I use for the case study? That case study is a critical assignment for you passing this class, meaning that if you can't do it, then you're not going to pass the class. So it's probably the most important assignment that's up here. Of anything, if you see case study, you're like, inbound case study, case study, case study. All right? So we're going to come back to this in just a minute. So everything I've been doing, I've been looking inside of your module 1. Oops. And you've seen what you're doing for homework, then all the different homework pieces that you have to look at to kind of understand what's going on. And then, go back out again. So we've looked at homework, videos and PowerPoints that are required. Most of these will have whatever the live class is. You'll see it inside of here. Any sort of PowerPoints that I'm using, just about to start PowerPoint in a minute, you'll find it here, always inside of PowerPoints. And you're going to find a little bit of additional reading on something that we might talk about. This is me discussing it, but not in live time. So you're going to be able to dig deeper into flow as a way to engage kids, what you're looking for. How do you know if a kid is engaged? So if a kid is engaged, then these things are being activated appropriately. And you can see here, this is a little 7-minute video of me hanging out in my little makeshift office here. And then I even give you the notes overflow, like what you should know. So imagine it as if it's an asynchronous teaching. Okay? So you'll find that inside of here as well. All right, so there's the PowerPoint. We had the weekly readings, what it is that you're going to be doing for the major reading stuff, affect, case study. I think I've gone over everything with you pretty much. Weekly homework. All right. All homework is due. Sorry, I changed it. It used to be Sundays. All homework is due on Friday. That gives me the weekend to grade it and get it back to you. I am not somebody who will hold on to your assignments for a long time. I will spend my weekend grading them so that you get them back right now. So when there's an issue, you should know it. All right? This isn't going to be a class where in 10 weeks you're waiting at week 9 to know how you're doing. You literally will know by the time you start the following week if the strategies you were using were working. So if you were doing all these things, but your grade was not what you wanted it to be, then you need to change the things you're doing. Got to figure something out and refigure that. You can definitely talk to me about it as well. All of your assignments will also have comments on them, so that you can come into my office hours and talk to me explicitly about what I saw and then what you saw. All right, so homework assignments are in here. The first ones are really easy, but they do count towards your participation grade. So the first one is acknowledgement that you took a look at the syllabus, just that you looked at it, and you're going to sign, yes, I looked at the syllabus, I've read through it. If I have questions, I can ask Dr. Wilson or ask my peers. The second one is that you're going to do a little meet and greet. Every one of you has been put into a group of 5. You probably got 5 or so. I think some groups have 6, but most have 5. That's because the classes are really big, and this is a way for you to get to know at least 5 colleagues. So in those groups, right now you're not quite sure what they are, but in those groups there are going to be 5 people that have been assigned to you. Every time that you have a meet and greet or you have something that you need to discuss with your group, a homework assignment, you can click on it and it's going to take you into where your group is. All right. Now for me, I don't see it the same because I'm in as a professor, but basically each one of you will come in and what you'll see is, can I make it happen here? I don't know if I can do a student view. What you're going to see is 5 people. So right now you see all of mine, but what you're going to see when you click inside are 5 people. You need to meet and greet them, meaning say who you are. If you want to include a picture, that's great. But you're going to say who you are, say what you're doing right now, maybe say something about, the struggles you're having, maybe what you want to do in this class, just a chance for you to meet the other people that are in your group. The other thing I advise is to share your best way of talking to those people. For me, in general, in groups, I like to give a text message because I'm very quick at texting. So I would give them my phone number and say, please text me. If you're somebody who gets email really readily and you check it all the time, then you can tell them to email you. If you don't feel comfortable with either of those things, you should. It's okay. It's the easiest way that we communicate. But you then need to make sure that you are checking inside of those discussion boards so that you're able to use to get the homework grade. So in each of these, most of the time, there's a discussion board. First, you're going to meet and greet everybody. You'll see it when you go in. Then you're going to do a group discussion. And this is going to happen several times throughout the semester where there's a group discussion. You'll click it. It'll take you to your group. And then inside of there, you complete whatever the assignment is. So it'll ask you a question, and then you write your answers to the question. And lastly, because these classes are so big and I miss you guys. I miss the energy that comes from standing, and sitting next to you guys and having you guys do projects and the process of learning. All I get to see is your grades, and I'm not interested in your grades. I'm interested in you guys. I'm interested in how we support good teachers. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you to send me a message and tell me a little bit about you, and for you to read through this and ask me any questions you have, to say, hey, I want to come to Africa with you if you go, and to be like, yay, tell me a little bit about what's going on in your family if you want to. But I would love it if you send me a note, which is part of the homework. And I would love it if I get to see a picture of you so that I can kind of start to equate names and faces, because there will come a time where I'll see you out in the schools and you'll be having your own classroom, and I'll walk in and you're like, whoa, it's Dr. Wilson. And I want to be able to remember you guys, and it's harder on here. So all you guys, that's what you're going to do for homework number 4. Homework number 5 is an affect post. Basically, you go into your group, click here. It's a link, so it's going to take you there. You click here, and you're going to fill this out. And if you can fill this out, then you know you've read and looked through everything appropriately. So if you fill out that statement and can figure out what the blanks are, then you can feel like, okay,
A participant
I got
has
it.
left the meeting.
I got it. Okay, so that's how Blackboard looks. Every single module looks about the same. I'm going to show you Module 2 now, but it won't open until Wednesday, okay? So here's Module 2. See, it looks exactly the same. Standards, weekly readings, PowerPoints, videos, homework, and then any extension. So when you click inside of some, you're going to see all the pieces that you can do for extension. Now, extension is not something that's required by me. Extension might be something that you take on because you're like, I couldn't fill out that paragraph, or I'm not sure about this. Let me try it. Feel free to click through and, make decisions, because some of them might be interesting to you. Some of them are going to take a ton of time. And like I said, you might want to spend time up in here. And when you're going to bed at night and you're watching, I don't know, cute puppy videos, or what do I watch at night? I don't know. My daughter was saying TikTok, but they kind of bother me. So I don't know. I'm watching like TLC 90-day fiancés to get my brain off of all the very heady, smart, whatever stuff. I watch really dumb television, dumb, waste of time television. So yeah, like they have these ones that are like 90-day fiancé from abroad, and they just like randomly, it's like crazy. So I like watching it. So instead of watching that, you might say, I'm going to spend 30 minutes and I'm going to do as much of the core analysis as I can in 30 minutes. And so that you're kind of getting some of these questions. And the other thing is, in your groups, if you want to share additional things with each other, feel free to do that. This class is a community of learners. When you're out in the classroom yourself, you're not an island. You're not by yourself. If you have questions, or you came up with an amazing lesson, or you found a website that this rocks, you should go on and share it with your peers and let them be able to use it as an intervention as well. You might split up some of these notes. You might, hopefully you go in and when you post, then you critique somebody else's and say, hey, Dr. Wilson said this, so that they can correct it before they turn it in. Nothing on the posts will be graded for accuracy. Instead, it's going to be graded that you tried it. But for the case study, you'll be doing
Has
things
left the meeting.
online to practice and to get feedback from your colleagues before you turn it into me. That way your colleagues help you to get it right. So when you turn it into me, at least 4 other people have taken a look at it. That's the goal, because that way you can utilize each other. Especially because the class moves twice as fast as normal, because a normal semester is 18 weeks, where we have 10. Okay. So this was just sort of extension. Remember, extension is only, it's not required. All right, but they all look the same. So that's how Blackboard works. Over here, there's some more things for you to click on. Taking a look at, I've written pieces and done even little videos for how you can go about it. You can read a little bit about me. There's me with my hair done and not in COVID hair, which is like a bun on top of my head. So here you can learn how to kind of what I do and what my degrees are in and all that stuff. But also know that my virtual office hours, I have an office, same place that you're in right now. It's always the same place. Every class you go to, this is where you're going to go. There'll be a link for it, but it's always the same place. Always the same website title, the J. Wilson, WebEx Wilson. And anytime I have office hours, same thing. This is my private office room. So just imagining you're sitting with me, having a soda, and we're talking. All right. You know, I had to borrow that blazer. I'm not really a wear a suit kind of person. So even when I teach and talk at like big places, I never look appropriate, I think. All right. What else? Announcements. Check this daily. Some announcements I'm going to send to you in email, but it's like, hit me. So you shouldn't get as many as you got this first week, but you're going to get some. Also, announcements will just be posted. So make sure you check when you get inside. You sort of check for, is there an announcement that she posted, but she didn't send to me? Okay. Class discussion board, I'll talk about that when we come to it, which is everybody can discuss at the same time. And then your group discussion board is over here as well. So it's inside of the folder, but if you can't find it, you can always find it here. You're only going to go to yours. You'll never be able to see anybody else's. You'll just have your 5 or your 4 colleagues. All right. Now, I know it's a little confusing or a little overwhelming or anxiety creating because I've just shown you everything. Until you get in and start messing with it, then it'll start to feel a little bit more normal. And you might even do something like I did here, where up over, I wrote down like what, oops, wrong side. I'm not very good at this. I got to get my document camera out. Party foul, where is it? This one here? Okay, sorry. So I wrote down basically what the format is. So you might have something like that just sort of reminds you what the format is. Take a few notes on how to maneuver yourself through. Okay. So if you have any like questions sort of overall, let me open it for a couple questions. And then if you have, I think you're going to have more questions next week after you've been inside of the module working around. And feel free, you don't have to wait until you see me to do that. You're welcome to send me an email through Blackboard, which is the best way to do it. Please contact me through Blackboard. It's immediately on my phone so that I can like write you back. My goal is definitely within 24 hours. I would imagine for most of you, it will be within the hour that I'll write you back. I don't want you sitting for a long time wondering about something when you have finally made the time. You tied your kids out front in the yard and you got your husband somewhere else and you're finally sitting down and you got 2 hours to work and then you can't figure something out for an hour. It's so frustrating. So I want to be there for you. Make sure that you just send me an email. And if you have not heard back, send another one. Don't feel like you're going to hurt my feelings. You're not. You are here to learn, and I am here to teach you. My goal is that I am here within the hour or so to answer you back. I don't want to take long to do that. So that's my personal goal. Okay, so inside of here is the syllabus. It is asking you, at the end of it, I'm going to ask you to agree that you've read it and that you understand that the class has all these hours and that you're, I know you're a little worried, but just keep working through it, just step by step. Keep your little notebook, write your stuff down, cross it out. If you're like me, I like to write stuff and then cross it out. Even if I didn't do it first thing, I write and then I make all these cross outs of stuff. Like send the syllabus to Sherry. And it's like, I have already done that. So I wrote it down so that then I can take my pen and cross it out. So just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like something's been done. So you might try something like that. All right. So I've kind of worked through all of this as you need it right now. You're going to dig into it deeper. Are there any questions for me before I go into the syllabus?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the group discussions, that's basically like we're just getting together and we can discuss things, but are we actually working the assignments together?
No, good question. Okay, so it's not a group assignment. So it's not like you're going to work in your group to create one artifact. Instead, you should think of your group as like activists to help you do better. They're there to critique what you're doing. So yours is not going to look like theirs. But you can still put yours up and they can say, hey, have you thought about this? Or, hey, here's a website that goes with what you've done. Their job is to critique and help you. So if it's not to create the same thing. So you're not going to be turning in the same thing. Instead, you're going to be talking about it with each other and then doing your own. And I know groups are hard because sometimes people participate really well and you've got this great group. And sometimes you've got the duds. I call them the barnacles. That's what I used to say to my kids. I told them they were barnacles. The barnacles are the little shells that are on the outside of a boat. That the boat keeps going, but the barnacles are there kind of weighing them down. But they're there. And so they get to go where the boat goes, but they're not really on the boat. They're actually problematic. I think of a lot of groups like that. Like you end up with barnacles in the group. So if you have a barnacle in the group, then you just keep working with the other three. There's nothing, or you work with one person that you found out that really is like aligned with you. You get it. Y'all become good colleagues and friends and all that. Then you can like respond to them. So sometimes it's gonna ask you to post something, right? Like you have to post the little paragraph, the close, CLOZE paragraph. You might post that with your answers. And then your group member posts it with their answers. And you're like, oh, hey, Jenny's got a really good answer over here. I think I like hers better. I'm going to reword that and use that in mine. Like I get that. So don't feel free to take into, we're here for sharing. So a lot of this, you're writing your own. You go with what your gut says. But the goal is that other people would be able to help you. And then, of course, I'm your last person. So if you're not getting it out of your group, then you get it from me. You've got a 100% chance to charm me into getting it to me. You can say, I tried my group. Nobody responded. Here's Dr. Wilson, help me. So that, because I know the answers, so that you're getting somebody to give you critique before you turn it in. And kind of ensuring that A and B is your goal. Because remember, an A is exceptional. In my class, it's exceptional. A B is good. It's above average. It's great. A C is average. My goal is that you make A's. That those of you on the Dean's list, that you make A's. I've given classes where there's all A's. And the only F's are people that just didn't do anything, right? They take the class, but they stop attending or they have other issues. But it's literally, that all A's and then those couple of students. I've also had classes where it's like a bell curve, which we're going to see today. Where most students are in the middle, C's, and then B's, and then A's, and then you got a couple of D's and F's, right? A few A's and B's, lots of C's. But I give all A's. Like right now, you all have A's. Everybody has A's. My goal is to help you hold that. I want you to hold on to your A. And so every little 0.25, every little 1 point matters. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to open up. Maybe I am. Put it down. Yeah. Let me just open it here. Okay, so now I'm going into the syllabus. Thought I had it open for you, but I guess I didn't. Okay, so here's your syllabus in here. And your rubrics are also down here. So any rubric for any assignment that you have to turn in, the bigger assignments, you can take a look at the rubrics here. Hey, hold on just a second. What's up? Oh. All right. So inside the syllabus here, I need to come in to you guys for a second. Everybody mute your microphones. Mute. I'm hearing a lot of like noises. Ooh, there's a lot of noises. Who's got theirs on? Mute your microphones. Don't forget. Okay, so open your syllabus here. I was down here. Okay, there you go. I call this the long-winded syllabus because a lot of this is, required by the state or by our university to tell you these things. And so if you want to read more in detail, go into this big syllabus and read everything. I'm going to move fairly quickly through all of the narrative pieces, and I'll slow down when we get to the grades and the projects and all of that, because I do want to talk to you about that. Here's my contact information. My office phone is here, but just so you know, it does send me a WAV file. Not the best way to get me. I am not a good telephone person, but I'm very good at answering messages, so go ahead and send me. My virtual office hours where you can come and meet me are 12 to 2 on Thursdays. If you need something else or time doesn't work for you, you have another class, or you are having an issue and you want to meet with me online, then just let me know and I'll set new hours for you. We'll just set an hour or 15 minutes to come and talk. So here's the link. Just know this link will also be the same link you'll go to every single class that we have. So if you get lost and you're like, you can come into your syllabus, click the link. It'll take you directly to my office, which is where we're holding class right now. All right. Moving on, while this is an undergraduate course, just understand that I think of you like pre-service teachers. It's a professional development, and our goal is that you can not only know what the aspects of teaching are, those 5+2 pillars of reading instruction, but that you know how to assess them, and then also to intervene. What do you do? Now you know this kid is struggling, and you know where they're struggling, but what the heck are you supposed to do? And a lot of teachers out there, it's what makes them the saddest, is that they work really hard on things that don't make a difference. And I want to say that makes me so sad, because when you work so hard at something, it starts to break down your own motivation to do it. And a lot of teachers will leave their schools and Judson or East Central or Poteet or Southwest because they think that it's going to be better over in Northside. But really what the deal is that you're running your wheels doing things that aren't impacting the kids the way you think they are. You're spending a lot of time making games when really it's not the most effective use of your time. Okay, so in order to pass the class, you must have a 70%, but you also must have made at least a 70% on the case study. That case study is a critical assignment, meaning that it's required. For those of you that have Digication, you'll also put the Digication file up into your online portfolio. All right, the class is aligned with all these standards. Lots of stuff, norms of fluency, multiple assessments.
The syllabus isn't showing.
Really? Well, let me just check that out. Oh, it should be. Let me see. Make available.
I guess I meant if you're trying to share it on your screen, we weren't seeing it.
Oh, you weren't seeing it? Oh,
Yeah.
Really? Well, I was sharing it on my screen. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm sharing Google.
There we go.
Are you seeing it now? No, don't go away.
It went away.
I know. Close. Do you see it yet? No?
Not yet.
Oh, thank you. I gotta learn this stuff here. Now?
Yes.
Okay, so just quickly, what I did was tell you that all these standards are here. All the meeting stuff is at the beginning, how to find me, how to hunt me down. We headed to Taos, New Mexico at the end of the week. All right, so these are the ones that are a little bit new. All the other ones you probably saw in early literacy or in middle literacy, 3389, 3314. You will have seen these things, but you've not seen these standards. They're brand new for TEA. TA is coming out with a scripted curriculum for you guys. Scripted, meaning, here, follow this, and all kids will do it. Bad. But the standards are good. So taking a look here, all of these down here are what we're covering in this class. And you can see, if you look at the main ones that I'm showing you here, oral language, also known as phonemic awareness. Okay, so we've got oral language, print awareness, all the things that you already learned. And in this class, we're going to be hitting all of these and then how to assess them. So you should know what these are, even if you just have a definition. Well, fluency is prosody, speed, and accuracy. But how do you test it? Phonics is the access of phonemes, sounds, and letters. But how do I assess it? How do I know? That's what we're doing in this class. Okay? Reading pedagogy, of course, the teaching. Have you ever heard the word pedagogy before you were in class? No. They try to make it sound all fancy. I don't have an issue with teachers. I think teaching should be held in the highest regard. Okay. So we're still looking at all these standards. That's why I call it the long-winded syllabus. Textbooks. You've got 2 ebooks, one through the library and one, if you ordered it, great, and one through Redline or Red Shelf, something like that. I'll put it up on your announcements for you. Okay, you got 10 weeks. I can't accept late work unless there's a major issue and you need to tell me about it. Once that closes, I can't. There's too many. I can't do it. So if something's going on for you, let me know. If it closes and then you tell me, I'm done. But if you tell me before it closes, say, I need some extra time, this is why, just know I'm there to help you make that happen. Okay? But you can't tell me afterwards, unless there was some major thing that happened. Okay, your quizzes, or your exams, your tests, will open on Saturday and will close on Sunday. You can take it any time during that time. They will open for around 3 hours. In general, if you have some other thing that would require longer, I've been notified. But in general, they're going to open for 3 hours. So you could take it at 9 o'clock at night on Sunday night. Be fine. Take it till midnight. It'll close on you at that point. You could take it right as it opens on Saturday. And it'll open. So the new modules are going to open on Wednesdays for the following week. Your tests 3 times of the semester are going to be opening on Sundays. And I'll remind you. I promise I'll remind you. All right. Moving on. Everything's electronic. So this little piece right here that I'm highlighting in front of your face is really important. There are so many of you, and when it's online, I get them all. I'm going through my grade book, and I'm just going through the assignments. I'm not looking at names. So when I download onto my desktop, it says whatever you call it. So if you call it case study, somebody else calls it case study, somebody else calls it case study. When I click on them to grade them, they all look like case studies. And I don't know whose was whose. So this here, you're going to even see it on rubrics. I'm going to take off a point, which is a big deal. It's a big deal. 1 point is a big deal in this class, just for naming it incorrectly. Save your files as your last name, your first initial, the assignment, so case study, and your course number. That helps me a ton, and it helps me so much with this online stuff that we're having to do. I can't even tell you. So please, please, please don't make me deduct a point. Don't make me deduct a point. All right. Professionalism. I will not drop you from the class. You need to drop yourself if you decide that I'm scary. I'm not scary. Don't be scared. No changes will be made after the final grades are posted. You need to be in contact. Your grades are going to go up fairly quickly compared to a lot of other classes. I know that because students tell me that their professors can take a little while. So you need to be watching your grades. They will be in your grade book, I promise. Contact me through Blackboard. Policies. These are all of the major state policies for ADA, for any counseling resources. And by the way, this COVID stuff, you have free counseling services. You should use them. If you're overwhelmed or you're anxious, which a lot of us are, or you feel sort of alone, I think it's pretty impressive that you get a counseling resource for free. I think all teachers, I think all people should probably be involved in thinking through, who they want to be in the world. So All right, financial aid, you've already handled that, hopefully. Jaguar Writing Center, you're going to have your peers, so hopefully you're able to utilize each other to write. We also, if you're having issues with money, we have a dean of students who's really trying to financially help to support you. My advice would be to utilize that. That's here. This is the email. Religious stuff. July 4th is not a religious holiday. Just kidding. Isn't it funny? We're going to be together all summer. So weird. All right. So this is a big thing because you're going to be in groups. Then I don't know who everybody is. I just literally put you in groups, random. So with that being said, if someone says something that's offensive, you should let me know. If someone says something that hurts your feelings, you should let me know immediately. Try to honor the uniqueness of everybody. You as teachers are different. When you walk down the hall at a school, one classroom is everything's purple and she's got purple in her hair and she's just a happy purple teacher. And then you go into yours and you're much more science-based. So you've got some things on the wall and there's all this stuff on their desks that they're doing and engaged in. And then you go into another teacher's classroom and it's rows and it's all set up. And all three of those teachers can be really wonderful teachers, but they're very different. And so as you get into your groups, you're going to find people who are different. So just know that it's those groups are confidential. And what I mean by that is I'm not in your groups. So when you're writing to each other, and if you don't turn it in as an assignment, you're utilizing the Blackboard, I can't see it. So unless you contact me and tell me something bad's going on in there, I won't know. I'm not Big Brother looking in. That's for you and for you to utilize as peers. So I'm not going to know who's copied or whatever unless I see it. And it's not plagiarism. I want you working together, but you do not turn in the same assignment. I'll say it again. It's your assignment. Okay. Okay. Everything else, the students' rights and responsibilities, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Your dates. We end basically on August 12th, but we'll have the last day probably a little bit before that. No cheating, no plagiarizing, no fabrication, no whatever. All right. The stuff you really want to know about. Here is your evaluation and grading. The case study report is 20 points. You'll notice that we will be working in pieces, so you'll have different pieces of the case study report over time. Each of those little pieces will add up to the whole thing. Okay? You have to get at least 14 points in order to pass that assignment. And remember that assignment has to be passed to pass the class. Quizzes, you'll take 3 quizzes, 10 points apiece. Each of the quizzes will have somewhere between around 40 questions, maybe a little less. You have a writing workshop assignment, which is about the book. Your reading of the book, Writer's Workshop for Elementary